Hey everybody, it is I, Jesse, and I have returned after my 2 week of hiatus from streams from trying to accomplish things around here at the shop. Got a couple new things lined up for you here. Not quite ready for you, but I will be unveiling them here soon, I promise. Tonight I'm going to be doing another Night Spectre for one of our clients on a Blade Guard veteran. And I'm going to show you some of the techniques that I'm going to use on this tonight. So we're going to go from this to one of these. Alright. So, obviously, first thing we got to do... What's up, Red? How you doing, man? So we need to get this bad boy primed, because we're not going to get anywhere on gray plastic. Let the war on plastic continue. Alright. So, for those of you out there that are learning to airbrush, scared of your airbrush, I'm using a Iwata HPCS. This is my all-purpose brush that I use. This one has handles because, yeah, mine's in the ultrasonic cleaner right now. It's gotten a lot of use lately. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it, buddy. Alright. So the first thing we're going to want to do with this is we're going to load up our paintbrush. What I'm going to be using for this is some Army Painter Airbrush Medium. This is thinner and flow improver put together. It's like $6. You can get it from your local hobby shop most of the time. You can get it online wherever, suitable for you. Doing pretty good, Red. Just, the constant war of plastic here in the house. Trying to get caught back up and get ready for our new adventures. Obviously, Kendall's joining us here in Discord. Alright. I always use a black primer. Doesn't matter what color I'm using, I use a black primer primarily because you get smoother surfaces with that. Gray primer and stuff like that tends to be a little bit more chalky. I like to preserve my details because they're details. You don't want to lose them. So, as you can see, I threw a little bit of that thinner in there, the airbrush medium. Gonna drop some paint in there, about 50-50 mix. And if you got a front crown like this that's flat, what you can do is a back pressure for mixing up your airbrush there. Try not to overflow it. Sometimes it gets a little bubbly. You might get some on yourself. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to check your spray. No, I'm not spraying on my dust. This is black paper, so not ruining nothing. Alright. So we're just going to dig right in here. Usually what I do is I start here at the foot. Now I'm not pulling back far on my airbrush. I'm just enough to start laying down. So I'm going to lay it down thinly. That's key. Usually between 25 and 35 for PSI on my brush, but you really got to watch it on what brush you have. There is an alternate or an optimal brush pressure for airbrushes. Each one's kind of different, but usually 25-35 PSI is a general range that you can be safe in. Like, if you were doing, let's just say you're doing fine details, like let's just say you want a hair point line with an airbrush, it's going to take a little bit of work. Low PSI, 10, 15, somewhere around there. The big thing is making sure it's thin. And there's a couple of tricks. I'm not going to be able to show you that right now to get to know if you're too thin, not thin enough. Maybe here in a little bit I can show you that once we actually get some color on this guy. Maybe I'll do a stream one day that's just airbrush related. I do plan for our Patreons to do a full video tutorial for airbrushing, basically start to finish. How you hook up your airbrush, how to clean your airbrush, everything like that. Keep them running nice and smooth for you. All of that good stuff. So that way you can start using these fabulous tools because, man, they help, especially when you're painting an army. you know how long this would take me to do with an actual brush? Just to get a base coat on like this, as smooth as this is. Take like 2-3 coats, you know, super watered down. Hey Cosmic, how you doing? Hope you're having a good night. Thanks for joining us. Alright. Yeah, as you can see there, I mean, this took me like, what? A minute, 2 minutes tops. Get a nice prime here. Another trick you can do with your airbrush, you can see it's still kind of wet. Just blow some air. These paints dry super fast. As you can see, it's already that glossy finish, like on the shield there on the shoulder's already starting to go away. I mean, technically you're supposed to give it like, what, 24 hours here, but I mean, you don't need to do that. I was not yet. I was finalizing some details with our new partner about some miniature action for you guys. I'm about to have a lot of new things here for you guys. It's still on my list. I haven't forgot about you yet. I'll make sure you get taken care of though. Alright, that looks pretty good. Looks like I got all my spots taken care of. Just like that. Got that nice satin black. Take that back. I missed his foot. Done and done. Swear it takes longer to clean the airbrush than it does to use it. Good old paint pot here. Here's another thing for you people new to the airbrushes. So you got your paint cleaner pot. As you can see, this one is really well used. Gets used like 5-6 times a day, every day. I'm just gonna put it in there. There's a filter under here to filter out any particles, stuff like that going in the air. And I like to do is I just like to rock my trigger back here just a little bit, because it gives that nice burst to help clear anything that might be stuck in the airbrush. Let me grab my Kool-Aid here. Normally what you would use is like an airbrush cleaner, right? To clean out the paint that's left in your brush. This is a little technique that our hack, I would say, that I picked up off the old internet that actually works pretty well. This is windshield wiper fluid. Now, it's good for rinsing your brush. It's a lot cheaper. You can buy it for a gallon, like $3. I mean, you can't even buy a gallon of airbrush cleaner. And what you can to get, it's like 32 ounces, is like $15 or something like that. Well, as you can probably tell, we go through a lot of it, so it's kind of unrealistic for us. I'm just gonna spray it in there. A little bit of back pressure here, get a little bit of bubbly action, just helps get it all loosened up from the walls. And we'll just blow that right back through our pot here. Just rock trigger back forth every once in a while just to make sure you knock anything loose. Watch it slowly get emptied out there. You can see where that was all black primer. It's nice and silver again. Grab your handy dandy paper towel. Wide it up a little bit. Shove it down in there. Don't push too hard. You don't want to bend your needle that's in there.
For the Emperor.
Couple turns. Hey man, thanks Biker Scout. Appreciate the follow. Alright, another thing to watch out, see if I can get it in there, is your needle tip right there. A lot of times, you think you might have a clog, right? You know, stop spraying, doesn't work right. What happens is your paint will dry on that tip. Once you have enough paint that dries on that tip, it's not going to spray right. You'll start getting spattering and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is pull back the trigger here, so that pulls the needle in. Take the paper towel, just push it in there like that, let go. So that needle just went into the paper towel. Just move it back and forth a little bit. It should take most of it right off. Alright. So, by this point, our primer should be dry, which is cool with airbrushing. You do it so thin, by the time you're ready for the next color, load up, your model's ready to go. Got that nice satin primer black on there. Now this is a custom chapter, as I already showed on here. I'll show it again though. Is a Night Spectre. It's actually pretty cool. I like this chapter concept for one of our clients. It's got like this deep purple with some fades that we do, and then that white really helps, you know, pop out some colors, you know, some reds. So every time I put colors on this guy, you know, it's really gonna pop next to those deep tones. So really dig these colors. So we're gonna do this guy up just like this one. All right, so for this, now that we got that black,
but it's not red.
You're right, it's not red. Chuck's gonna be so mad. We're gonna start out.
Sorry,
with
I'll pop in and out.
Citadel
I don't want people to hear paper cutting.
Night. You're good. And we're gonna do the same concept as we did before. A little bit of airbrush medium. Probably about a 50-50 mix. So just count your drops. 1, 2, 3. We'll do 4. Because why not? Give it a good shake. With a brush, yes, you got to be really careful with that tip of that needle. Anything, you know, curves, anything like that, you damage the tip of that needle is shot, and your brush is not going to work the way it's supposed to. That's why I do it like with the paper towel and kind of let it poke itself through so it goes in straight and then just spin. Instead of like, you know, jabbing it with a brush and all that stuff, trying to get it off, because I don't want to ruin my needle. The needles for decent airbrushes, they cost like anywhere from $10 to $30. It's like, there goes, you know, basically the price of a mini just because I wanted to damage my airbrush.
Truck returned.
Yep. So I'm doing a little back pressure here, just getting that nice and mixed up. Again, we're going to go ahead and test our spray here. Ooh, see that? I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's like a little bit like, it's a horrible noise, sorry. But that's the sound we don't want to hear. So I'm going to try to remedy that real quick.
You do to my airbrush.
I'm going to drop a couple more in there. It's going to make it thinner, but if it ain't going to spray, then we just lose the paint anyways. A little bit more back pressure. Might be just too thick for it to come out. A couple strong ones. Alright, let's see if we can use this. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start laying down our base color of Nagaroth purple here. So when you airbrush like this, what you're going to do is you're going to lay down your spot here. Go ahead, stop, just blow some air on it. It'll dry right up, and that makes it tack. That way it doesn't move around, it doesn't get all splashy, you don't get spider webs, stuff like that. Come across the chest panel right there. Get that shield. A little bit of the underarm. Now with this dark purple, we can leave a little bit of black in the underpits because shadows will actually make it look more natural that way. What's up, Moscow? How you doing, man? Or gal? Not sure, bud. Thanks for joining us. Alright. Just blowing on some purple here, getting this coverage going. I'm going to back up a little bit. I got a little heavy there for a second, so I'm just going to back away at my airbrush, just blow some air. Blow some air so that way it evaporates all of that thinner and it starts adhering to the surface. I don't want to add more until it's dry, because I'll risk losing my smooth surface and start gumming everything up. Go right across the top here. As I get brighter and brighter here, this is going to stand out more for you guys to see. I mean, this is a dark purple on top of black, so it's kind of hard to see through a camera right off the bat. I know you can probably see that it's starting to look that purple, but it's just not the same. to the regular human eye compared to a camera. And my OCD is going to kick in. Make sure I get all of I can. Alright. So just like that, we got a nice crisp purple first layer down. So we're going to set him down. Just go right through our motions again. Go ahead and empty it out in your paint pot. I like to take my little vape break while I do this. Vaping's bad, kids. Don't do it. Alright. We're going to take some orange Kool-Aid, aka windshield wiper fluid. Dump that in the pot. Doing pretty good, Moscow. Enjoying my Sunday. It is. We got to keep that sanity up. Get that black wash. Just knock everything loose that's in that brush. Now, one thing I will say about this while I'm emptying this out. This does not replace airbrush cleaner. You should still have airbrush cleaner, but you should use it for cleaning your airbrush when you're done with your session. You should always clean it after you're done with the session. You don't want to leave the paint in there. The longer you leave the paint in there, the harder it's going to get, and the worse it's going to be to remove it. But this will save you some money. This is good for, you know, basically rinsing your airbrush between brushes, you know, colors. It's almost ready. I promise. It's like watching paint dry. But bad joke, I know. Alright, same as we did before, we're going to take our paper towel here, wad it up a little bit, give it a little spin, don't press too hard, don't want to damage that needle that's in there, just to get it all out there. There's still some purple in there, it's fine. Just a little bit more. Sometimes you have to do this twice, just depending on how thick that paint is. But that also explains why we had that issue earlier, where it wasn't spraying right. Paint was thicker. Clean off that tip of that noozle. I called it a noozle. I mean, it's kind of like a noodle.
You definitely said noodle.
I'm getting called out here, guys. I got backseat painters over here.
Job. Someone has to call you up for all those PB&Js go to your brain.
Yeah. Alright. So, as you can see, this is darker than what our actual marine was. So we're going to take it up another step. I'm going to move up to Xeris purple. Hopefully I'm saying that right. If not, go ahead, yell at me. I'm cool with that. Be this guy right here. And Attack of the Husky Fur. Xeris purple. Same concept, guys. Just rinse and repeat through the colors for us. Gonna take that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure you put the cap on. I've knocked it over way too many times for my own liking. Especially if your desk looks like mine and it's a mess. You got colors everywhere because you're just throwing stuff around. There's a reason I say throw paint, because I'm always throwing paint. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we'll go with 3. Now, here's a good thing to know about airbrushing too. When you're putting your colors in the pot like this is when you can control how opaque you want them, how thin you want them. It's all about the ratio of paint to thinner. You want that undertone, like the undercoat, to stick through just a hair, then your paint a little bit more. You want it to really cover, make sure your paint's a little bit thicker. Give it a spray just to make sure we're good. Alright, so now I'm going to apply this actually upside down. This is basically a zenithal technique here. I'm going to come down because the brightest spot should be at the top, you know, where the light's coming down on your guy. So I'm going to start straight at 12 o'clock on him. See, I'm starting to hear that sound again. Come down the arms. Gonna hit the tops of the kneecaps, the toes. This helps shield anything that's sticking under him because it's where his shadow would be. we want to keep those. Flip them over here. I'm going to tilt it back just a little bit because I want to hit the top of that half sphere or whatever you call on the backpack there, right in the middle. But I want that to eventually fade colors. But then you got the exhaust ports, you know, the two balls on the side there. I'm going to come down in here. I'm basically going to do like a line right down the back of the legs. Of course, can't forget the butt plate. You gotta get a little bit on the butt plate. You'd be surprised, it don't look right unless you get a little bit on the butt plate. And this is all to your liking when you do stuff like this. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's all about personal preference. You know, it might take you a few tries, you know, until you get like kind of style you want, but just keep at it. You know, actually, like in between the shield there, I'm gonna leave that darker because, you know, shading, natural shading.
You're a good girl.
Wow. Thanks.
I
always
am
knew
not.
I was a good girl. Thanks, Chuck.
Sorry, my dog came in and decided to completely mother me. I thought I was muted. Apologies.
It's okay. I was sitting there, I was just like, somebody's sitting there calling me a good girl. It's like, do I get a cookie? Do I get
Well,
something?
normally get a PB&J, but, you know, apparently Kendall said no to that, so
For you new guys
it was
out
here.
there, the joke is I only get fed in the studio PB&Js. That's how I earn my living right there. I paint for PB&Js. Alright.
Think
Let's do a quick
faster,
rinse.
Hutch.
Now we're going to do this. Pop him back in here for you guys. We're going to take this up even a step further. Now this isn't going to be the natural color of them, but sometimes you got to take it up, as other painters I've known to say this, sometimes we have to take it up to 11 to take it to 10. And you'll see what that means here in a second. Just load
How
up
you
my
doing,
brush,
Chuck?
rinse and repeat again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to go a little bit thinner now, just because this brush is struggling a little bit. Something tells me it needs a deep clean. I'm going to use some Cacophony Purple. I just totally brutalized that name. I'm fine with that. It's like a lilac or something like that. Alright, so 1, 2, let's try 2. So we got 4 drops thinner, 2 drops of paint. Let's see what happens. Move that out of the way because I don't want it to bubble on them. It's like that really pastel purple. It's like a purple white. So it'll be really nice for the next step. Yeah, see how watery that came out? You can blow it around. So when your paint's like that, it's fine. You can still use it. You're just going to be a lot more touchy with your trigger. You want more air than paint. Again, now we're going to do this with a zenithal technique, straight top down at first. We're going to be a little bit more selective of where we put it. It's going to look weird at first, but trust me, there's a reason to this. Start with those exhaust balls. Go across the top there. Flip up, get the top. Come to a little bit at the top of that sphere. This elbow's sticking out, so we're going to throw some on there. Throw just a spot in there on the other elbow. Alright, let's come down the chest. I'm trying to hit that abdomen plate just a hair. Grab the toes. Grab a little bit of the kneecap. A little bit of leg right there. Make sure to grab the other knee, or the other toes, I should say. Don't really have to because it's in that shade, but like I said, personal preference. I've learned that people always look at the feet too for some reason. It's weird. And I'm going to come right down the middle of the chest. So we'll end up like that. Now I'm going to apply a little bit more. As I said, I'm going to take it to 11. The reason to that is I'm going to end up losing a bunch of that brightness here in a minute. So I'm actually brightening up so I can tone down. Alright, that should do it. So, let me set this brush down here. As you guys can see, this dude doesn't look, for purple wise, anything like this guy. But that's fine. I'll show you why. I'm going to show you how it's about to change. It's not really that hard to do. It's just a little bit, it's technique. That's all painting is. It's just learning different techniques and just applying them. Sure, it might take a few shots, but it's only as hard as you're going to make it in your head. Most of it is just kind of like a mind game with yourself almost. If you psych yourself out, you're going to fail before you even try, because you're going to sit there thinking, it's like, oh, I'm going to screw this up. Oh, I'm going to screw this up. Oh, I'm just going to screw yourself up. And you're going to start twitching. You're going to start overspraying. Best thing I can do is just put on some music, something like that, some backgrounds, and just paint. Just remember, it's fun. Experiment. Be good. Yep, just like Chuck said, practice, practice, practice. Never beat yourself up. As the old saying goes, you're only your own worst critic. And that couldn't be any more true. Alright, so, now, to make that dude look like the other one. Yep. Is we're going to use a shade through an airbrush. We're going to go back with some, help me, I'm probably going to murder this one. I'm horrible at pronouncing GW paints. Druki? Violet shade. We're just going to call it violet shade. I'm going to go with that. So with this, I'm just going to dump it right into the pot. It's going to look like I'm going to dump it a lot back in there, but that's fine because I can dump it right back into the bottle. Sure it's got a nice spray before I do this, because I do have to control how I do this. Alright, so I'm going to start with both feet here. I'm barely pulling back on the trigger at all. What this shade's going to do is help those purples blend together, so that way you can't really tell where one starts and one ends. And the cool thing about this technique is you control how bright you want to be. Like, I could stop right there on that plate, on his leg, and be fine. Hey, I want it a little bit darker. And just add another layer. And the cool thing about this, too, is, let's just say you oversprayed, it's too dark. You want it to be a little bit brighter. It's fine. Let it dry. Add that highlight right back. Nice, easy fix. We're just going to give it a little bit of air. So you can already see how that purple's changing. But it's still got that brighter points, and it's still got those darker points. It's creating a natural shadow for us. But it's doing it in a way that doesn't have any, staining or brush strokes or anything like that. It just looks like a nice transitional shade, like it's just straight natural looking. Now what I'm doing, I'm just adding a little bit of air. Sometimes it likes to darken a little bit when I do this, when it dries fully. So I'm just adding some air so I can actually see what it's going to look like before I add more. for a second. Oh boy. Where did I put you? There you are.
Did you just whistle
I did.
at a paint?
I did. So you can see we're starting to actually match that purple now. The fun thing is these colors blend so well together like this. I can see them in person like night and day, the transition, but they're blending so well together, it's actually hard for the camera to start picking up where one starts and one ends. But I tell you what, you see it in person, you'll definitely know it. Alright, so we're going to leave that just like that. I'm happy with that. So that's going to take care of basically our purple for the dude. Now we just put the purple back, right back in the pot like nothing ever happened. Don't be like me and empty out a whole pot of shade because it's not cheap. Especially, you know, when you do a whole army. Get kind of pricey. Thanks, Red. Appreciate it, man. Alright, there's my Kool-Aid. Just dump that back in the airbrush. If you do decide to go with the Kool-Aid, the windshield wiper up, I recommend getting one of those bottles. You get them on Amazon for like $3. Makes life so much easier. You're on pot number 4. Yeah, that sounds about right. Just eating that paint. Surprised
Well,
at how
that's
much
like
armies
us
take
in
paint.
Caribou Crimson.
Oh yeah, I went through like a full pot in like what, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it had to been done, you know. It's the color red. CSR 556 can tell you about the red in this shop. We see it a lot.
It's all about the red.
All about the red. Funny thing is, I'm Space Wolves player, and it's still all about the red.
I think it's safe for us to talk again.
Alright. At this point, we're done with the airbrush for now. We won't need that till the finishing steps. And we do a flat coat just to protect our paint job, you know, from oily fingers, bumping on tables, decapitated heads, greasy
Cheetos
orcs.
crust.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to give
Did you
that
say
just a minute to
Cheetos?
see the set.
Yeah,
Take a
Cheeto
minute
crust.
here. While that's drying, I'm going to show you
Your
guys a
dog.
few other things. Just because this is already sitting on my desk, I had to show somebody earlier. Here is a 3D printed version of, I want to say it's Sanguinus. Because, I mean, can you think of any other winged Primarch in gold that likes flaming swords and spears? Something I did a while ago.
Beer is not on fire.
And then a commission that I'm working on also. I started this earlier Saturday. Let's see if I can get him all in there. He a big boy. He a really big boy. Is for the crowd out there that I've ever seen, you know, the OG Power Rangers. This is Goldar. He's getting somewhat close to finished. There you go. Gotta get him up there a little bit more so you can actually see what's going on with him. Obviously, I'm still working on the wings and stuff like that. Hey, it was one of those things. It's like, you know, you're gonna throw some Power Rangers my way? That's cool. I mean, that's nostalgic for me. I used to watch that shit when I was a kid. Especially the OG stuff. When I was like 7 at the time. Cool, I'm down with it.
Painting them, and I have no idea what half of them are.
That's the cool thing about being a commission artist. When you're doing all kinds of crazy things. I see 40K, fantasy, Power Rangers. We got some Marvel minis coming up. I got like these cool looking chibi, like, you know, Iron, I don't know if it was Iron Man I had in there, but Winter Soldier, you know, Nick Fury.
Can you pull one
all
so
of
you
that
can
stuff.
show it?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, bring one on over here so I can show these
I'm
guys.
literally sitting right next to him.
Bring my camera back down. Now that the big guy's out of the way. I'm about right there.
Let's see, who would be recognizable?
You know, I will admit, I snickered when you were talking about the Gold Power Ranger, but That's actually a pretty detailed model. I like it.
I was actually surprised. Like, I was kind of hesitant when I was painting them at first. I was like, man, this just reminds me kind of something you kind of like buy off a shelf at a store, like back in the day. But it's actually pretty detailed and it's coming out nicely, I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
Brought you over.
Two villains, two
Two
heroes.
villains, two heroes.
Okay. All right. As you can see here, we got Hella. So that'll be fun to paint. It's like a chibi board game Marvel character. I would totally be down for painting some 80s style Thundercats. That'd be awesome. We got a Wasp sculpt. Like I said, these things are kind of cute. I won't lie.
I love the dice.
Our boy Loki.
Not you.
These are some pretty cool. I think it was off of Kickstarters where you got these. And you got Scarlet Witch. And he got, I believe, level 3, I believe, on all of these. So we're gonna do some mad paint on these. These will be at some point next month after we get our current orders out. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this is just a prototype, just because I wanted to see one from our new partner that we just hooked up with here. This is a throne. This is out of pure resin. This is off my printer, not one of the professional ones where they will be coming. But amazing sculpt, really is. I mean, this thing right now, because this is off just one of my personal printers, I could probably kill somebody's cat with this. Don't tell anybody. But yeah, a nice little shell, you know, shell throne, looks like octopus. All of these tentacles have, you know, the suckers on them, great detail. My camera's not really picking it up the best because of this translucent green. I wish I had it in gray, but I didn't have any gray resin around.
That moment, I'm half tempted to just take it outside
And
and
it
hit
needs
it
to be
with a primer.
washed. This is right off the printer. So all these white spots are from my printer. But you just wait till we get an actual cool one in here. We'll throw some paint on it. It's going to be awesome.
You know, I see that, and I think you need to figure out how to make a throne for Logan Grimnar.
Done and done. Challenge accepted.
I mean, you know, do one of those little display boards, but instead of, you know, most people put it in, you know, attacking something or this or that, just make it the throne room.
Agreed, right? It does look like a throne from Cthulhu. It gives me like a Cthulhu vibe or like an Aquaman vibe, something along those lines. Definitely some cool stuff. Some other models that go with that line. You can check them out if you guys want. It's at gofigured.us. I wish I had my discount code for you guys right now. Not off the top of my head, we haven't got that far. I have it, and I'm going to be setting it all up here for you guys, but I just haven't released it yet for you guys. My bad. But you can still go check out the website. There's like 2,000 different minis on there. You know, print them to your size. You can choose what type of, you know, material you want them out, ship directly to you. And on top of that, the cool thing what he's doing is he partnered up with us is you'll have the option, they're still working on the background, to select us to paint it, so we can actually paint it for you too. So you get the whole complete set sent directly to your doorstep. Not to mention you get to bother me. Maybe throw me a PB&J or something. Who knows? Maybe a Happy Grenade or here. Alright. So this dude should be dry now. Let me get my camera back in focus. Alright. So, as you can tell from the other dude, we got some grays we got to throw in there. It's like grays to whites. We got some leather to do. Basically, wherever I want to pick and choose. I'm feeling starting with some gray because that's like the biggest next color on this dude. As I take him out, done and done. Game over. See how I did that? Alright. I wanted to get my wet palette in here, but I have my white sensitivity way too high because of this purple. You guys are going to be blinded. I'll have to show you guys that another time of how I actually do things on my wet palette. Where is my trusty zero? It's like my favorite brush ever. It's like I have all these brushes, but everybody had, they pick favorites. I add a little bit of water to this Celestial Gray just to help get it on there. We might as well just dig right into this shield here. Now I'm not too worried about getting it on the parts that aren't going to be Celestial Gray. This is kind of part of, the speed painting process. Is I'm going to pick the deepest recesses first and start there and then work my way up. So that way I'm covering all of my mistakes, all of, the overlaps and everything without having to take an additional step just to do it. Because as we all know, minis take a while to paint. Why make it take longer than you need to? I'm waiting for the OCD comment from Chuck, and it just didn't happen.
I think it's because we don't want to interrupt you as you're talking.
But it's
Yeah,
Chuck. He's being
I'm
nice
being-
to me.
I am. When you are in what I will call teaching mode,
Oh, I'm in teaching
Like how-
mode. Look out.
like you're in your Bob Ross mode. You're like showing people how to make the happy little
Little trees.
grenades and
All right, that's it.
things like that.
You
So,
you done it now. All right.
oh boy.
Now he's like, no, I need green.
All right. So we're gonna just go in here. We're just gonna paint a straight little line down here, just like that. Yeah, just like that. We gotta have a happy little stalk for our tree here.
You make one comment. You make one comment. That's all it is.
Now we just gotta take a couple little
And
little-
he
little happy
swings.
little happy branches.
No, there are no happy branches. There have to be happy little grenades or happy little skulls. It's 40K. Come on.
But
Or wait,
but
happy little blood drops.
God, Mephisted. All right. I'm done being a smartass. I apologize, guys.
I was gonna say, go ahead. I will keep bringing up the happy little blood drops until you go from OCD to
I'll do my
PS
job then.
PTSD.
All right. So, back to this. As you can see, it's really watery. I actually wanted that. It's a little waterier than I wanted it to, but I prefer my whites to be really thin. The reason that is white's a really chalky paint. If you don't thin it, get it on quick, and then leave it, you're going to end up with a nice, chalky, craggly surface that no one and their mom's going to want to look at. Yes, it takes extra time. It's worth it. I promise. I promise it's worth it. So we'll just give that a second to dry right there.
And Jesse wouldn't lie to you.
I wouldn't. Like Abraham Lincoln. I take that back. I can't go that far, Chuck. I tried.
I was gonna say that's a pretty high standard. So,
I can't go that far.
and see, Red is saying he's learning new skills. And again, I know, believe it or not, I talk a lot on your streams, but I do know when to shut up.
The miracle.
It is.
All right.
See,
So it should be enough tack down now for me to continue. So I can't really show you on this shield. I was sitting there thinking on a way I could do it, but I will at least explain the thought in my head while I do this. When you paint, the easiest way to make sure you don't get the dreaded brush strokes, because everybody hates brush strokes, there's actually methods for not getting them, so you get a nice smooth surface. Now I'm just giving away all of my tricks and stuff like that. Is you want to paint across your body. So if you are right-handed, you want to paint right to left with your swipes. If you're left-handed, left to right. The reason this is, as long as you thin your paint correctly, is when you deposit the paint with the swipe, you're going to go and pick that residue, the remaining that you left on there, that ball of paint, And you're going to keep pushing it from one side to the other. It's kind of like shoveling a driveway. Best analogy I could think of off the top of my head. You're just going to keep pushing it from one side to the other. Because that's what a brush stroke really is a ridge of paint that's left behind. Unless it's your paint's too thick. It's still a ridge of paint, but that's another problem that you'd have to deal with. Because as long as your paint is thin enough, it wants to self-level. Unless you got a big glob on there, then there's just too much for it to self-level. I'm sure you guys are probably watching how I'm actually painting from left to right like 90% of the time now. My southpawness. The other thing to keep in mind with your brush skills is brush pressure. This is one thing that I am teaching the apprentices here is brush pressure. Because that matters a lot with what the techniques that you're doing. Like if you're panel lining, trying to draw a straight line across, a corner or something like that. The harder you push, the fatter the line. If you have to push hard, your paint's not thin enough. If you barely touch the model and the paint comes off your brush and just floods, your paint's too thin. Those are my words of wisdom for today.
So you want to Goldilocks it.
Basically.
Make it just right.
Yep. And you'll know real quick if it's too thin or too thick.
Yes, because the boss will come over and yell at you.
Yep. I know it. I can sense it. I'll be on you like a boss on his PB&J.
So if I start painting at home, you'll just sense that there's a disturbance in the force if my paint is too thick or too thin.
Chuck, I've always sensed that. I've just kind of learned to ignore it.
Fair enough.
As you can see, I'm just kind of slowly working my way around this shield with this thin out celestial gray, just applying it. But I'm applying it thinly, so by the time I get to the other side, it should be dry enough for me to add another coat. Talking every once in a while just to give it a couple extra seconds. All right.
Now, I never thought with basing that using a paintbrush with a little bit of glue would be so much better than just dabbing the glue on.
All right. So here's the thing with white, right? White's a hard color to work with. I'm sure if anybody's ever painted with white, they know that white's a hard color to work with. It's chalky. You heard me say it a million times. And you have to build up to white, like actual white. Many painters don't use pure white on their models. They avoid it like the plague. There's a reason for that. You don't get any more brighter than white. So if a panel is white, it's not actually white. It's a light gray. What they'll then use is your pure white as a highlight, as your panel line on your edging and stuff like that. You see it as white, your brain gets tricked. It sees that panel lining and it does some math equation in your head and makes it you think that it's white. But it also helps detail the model enough where you can actually see the lines, the crisp, everything pops out nice. But you never paint up to pure white. I mean, white scars, they do that, but as you can see with white scars, there's no panel lining. You don't see the bright lines. The ones that you do, they took it up to a step or two below pure white and then added the panel lining, if you see one. So if you want to keep your panel lines and stuff like that, so that way all those crisp details just pop, don't ever go to pure white. Save that as your highlight.
It is done.
So, next thing I'm going to do here, as I just said, we're going to take it up. Now we're going to go to Uthon Gray, which is a step up from Celestial. Basically, yep. You want to go all the way up just below pure white normally. pure white is the hardest paint to use with a brush and keep it so there's no strokes. I even still have that problem. Alright, so got some Uthon on my brush here. Nice and thin. I'm going to start on the same spot because that's where it started drying the first. Start swiping white right to left.
Loki, mommy did a dumb.
And as you can see, it's nice and thin.
Daddy's gonna be so mad.
I don't like it when Kendall's behind me saying Jesse is going to be so mad. What am I going to be mad
What
about?
time is it?
Oh, I am going to be mad.
What did I not do?
Looks like Jesse has no clean clothes for work tomorrow.
Oops.
Alright. Just going to slowly pick our way around here. I'm not really mad at her, guys.
I was gonna say it just means the stream has to go on a little bit longer while you're doing
I
laundry.
gotta wait for laundry now, yeah? Alright. Get that back in there. As you can see, the brighter I get with that white, the harder my camera struggles against it. It's like, ah! I personally usually stop at Uthon white. Or Uthon gray, I should say. And then use pure white for highlighting it if I want to. It's enough of a difference between the colors from the gray to the white that the white will still stand out, be present, and you can actually see it. Usually on these steps, what I would do, like I just laid that on there, like I'd be working on the shoulder pads and everything else. So I'd lay the color on the shield here, jump to the pauldron, do that, jump to the other pauldron, do that, and try to stay off the shield when I start hitting this light colors, because it takes longer for it to adhere. Same reason why it's so chalky. White has more pigment in it. Bright colors have more pigment in it. That's what makes it chalky. That's why you have to thin it down, because they have to pack so much more pigment into it to make it actually that color. And that's what causes the problems with the chalkiness and everything like that. Black actually has the less pigment in it. Kind of sounds weird when you think about it, but it does. Dark blues, everything like that. It's less pigment that takes for that. That's why you can just slap it on there and it looks fine.
I'm back.
Back.
All right. There will be an essay at the end of the day, by the way, guys. 2-page report. Hope you got all that, Chuck.
Looks like I'm going to summer school.
Be worse, it could be 9 o'clock and you realize you haven't done laundry.
Oh, the number of nights that has happened. It'll be okay.
With everything that happened today, I'm just a mess.
What happened today?
Who did we have a surprise visit from?
That wasn't today.
That was this morning.
She was already here. She left this morning. As Chuck likes to say, the mothers are coming.
Mothers are coming. The mothers are coming.
See what I'm saying, Chuck? It's just my camera can't handle that white.
Yeah. Well, we've discussed this before, that even if you change the settings so it takes the white, it dulls out everything else out. So, yeah.
All right. So we're going to jump away from white for right now. We're going to jump into one of my favorites, Retributor Armor.
I was going to say red.
Nope. There's actually not a lot of red on these guys. I do incorporate it, but not that much. Now I'm going to start going back and doing a little bit of cleanup by laying on this gold. Because who doesn't like gold?
The Rackham will be finished tomorrow.
Okay.
They're just drying, so I want to give them ample time to dry,
Okay,
and then I'll pack them in the morning.
it's fine.
I didn't think you would care.
No, I'm sure you guys can see that those cracks are still white. That's fine. That's what our good old buddy shade's made for.
See, that's what I was saying. There's always room for red. He's still watching.
Sorry, Red, did I leave you out, man? I'm gonna have to fix that. Maybe I'll give him a red cloth.
I'm just a little disappointed Orgasm didn't show up.
Yeah, he was super stoked.
Yeah. And I even ate a sandwich and everything in preparation.
Yeah. War likes to make us all hungry while we're streaming.
Particular habit of his.
I'm shocked he's here not making y'all hungry.
And that's what we were just saying.
Yeah, I know. It's not. I ate a sandwich and everything, and now I'm not hungry. So it's kind of a wasted point now. Oh well. I had a sandwich, so I still feel good.
And he's probably caught up with something.
Well, he was harassing me, but he even stopped doing that. So just so you know, Jesse, I'm still thinking about those red space wolves.
Are you?
Yep.
I'll get the stripper ready.
You're gonna need it. There's a lot of them.
Well, at least I know how to paint space wolves and blood angels, and you've seen all the red I've done, so I think we can make this work.
I have some in the case behind me. I have proof. Who even suggested that? Was that Monkey Orgasm? Was that
I
red
think
last
so.
night?
I don't know. It was one of the two.
Yeah. Was that you, Red, last night? Night before? I can't remember. My memory's failing me.
Yeah, I was too buried in paperwork, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, you weren't buried too deep because if it was last night, you had to hop on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I had my headphones
Just-
on, and I kept hearing my
just-
name. I was like, all right, I gotta see what these guys are up to.
Red said it wasn't him, so
It's probably war then.
yeah, it's probably war. We weren't using your name in vain, I promise. Well, I wasn't anyway. I will not say anything about Devin because that's between brothers.
Hmm. You wouldn't say it in front of me.
Ozzy.
You would just whistle and walk away.
Yeah, I mentioned the life-size
Paper in the
PB and J.
background.
Yeah, that's a funny concept.
I hear rustling in the background. Ozzy doesn't go for his toy. He goes just for the rough, like loose paper on the floor.
Why?
It's just like a cat in a
Because-
box.
Because it's there.
And then he brings me his lamb.
No one said your dog made sense.
Oh, no.
Oh, not at all.
So right now I'm just going through here and knocking some of these top parts out. The
Pick it
little
up.
ledges and everything that like to stick out. A lot of times with these blade guard I like to focus in on the shield first just because it's such a big object.
Well, yeah, and I mean it's a fairly fancy object, and it's something the eye is drawn
Ozzy,
to. So
Exactly.
give me the wing.
Just grab the other shield here, just to do a quick overlay, just so I can match them up. Doesn't look like I did a wash. Looks like I just did a pin shade. Alright, pin shade it is. Did I use blue or black? I probably used black. No. Depends if somebody put black away. There it is. Alright.
did they really put it away?
They did actually. I'm kind of shocked.
Oh, I'm glad I'm sitting down.
All those stern talking to's, man, took hold. Not.
No, you're the boss. It didn't take hold. They just got tired of hearing it.
Pretty much. Alright. Good old pin shading. So basically I'm getting some in my brush here. And I'm dragging it through all the cracks. I don't like to use pure washes, especially on white, because that's a nightmare to clean up.
Red's asking a question.
Not at my PC right now, so I don't know what he asked.
Would it be easier to use the Retributor than do the gray? I mean, no. The two colors there. The gray is definitely the hardest one. Because I mean, Retributor, that's easy to fix. The gray is going to be a nightmare to fix. So that's why I'm trying to keep that clean. As you see, as I do this, I'm leaning my brush more towards the gold than the white. So that way, if I get any excess shade on anything, it's going to be on the gold, because I could just go right over that. Where if I got it on the gray, I'd have to take like 15 million coats to get it back up to where it needs to be. See, I just had to back out my camera for Goldar. Now it's all janky and stuff. But yeah, you can see I got a little bit of the shade right there on the top corner. A couple spots, that's fine. As soon as that dries down for a second, quick swipe over with Retributor and it's gone. But yeah, gray is one of those colors, you know, the grayish whites that you want to keep clean as possible, because they're a bitch to clean. Like, if I got black on that or a dark color on that, I'd have to not just go right back to Uthon Gray. I would have to get it with Celestial Gray just to cover it, probably 1 to 2 coats, depending on how dark the color is under it. Then go back like 3-4 coats of Uthon Gray just to get to match with the rest of it. So there's like 5 coats of paint just to fix a spot. So it looks like I used actual skull colors for the inner part of the shield. And I did it the old way. I have a new way, but I want it to match, so I'm going to have to do it the old way. The old-fashioned way to do skulls. Xandri to do Ashanti. So we're going to start our skulls off. Good old Xandri dust. Might as well just keep my 00. Just thinning out the Xandri dust a little bit. I'm going to go in here and start picking out some of these skulls. I'm sitting there thinking about it. You guys get Kendall tomorrow, if I remember right. It's Monday.
Mhm.
Let's see where that
Yes,
hospital
we do.
lighter is.
Yes.
What?
No, not the hospital lighter. She's done with
Oh yeah,
that.
the Celestine.
It's
Literally, the
yeah,
only thing on the hospital lighter left is the scripts
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I need to teach you how to do scripture.
and help me with fixing up her face. Otherwise, she's done. Hi, Ozzy.
Start
yeah. I knew
working
as
on
soon
her
as
skull.
I knew when you said that. I'm like, wait a minute. I haven't seen that model in a couple of weeks. Wait a second.
Yeah.
You threw me off.
Yeah, I was just keeping you on your toes, Chuck.
Yeah, well,
And
I
make sure
failed.
you
I'm
need
sorry.
her.
Because I was actually going to make the comment when you were showing the Sanguinius earlier that there are only two real people with angel wings like that. One is Celestine and one is Sanguinius. And well, that doesn't look like Celestine. So
Celestine.
yeah. So
Yeah, I'm actually excited to see it too. I haven't looked at it. I haven't had time to look at it. We'll all be
What?
seeing it for the first time on Monday for the week. I was just talking with Red.
Oh,
He's excited to see her, see what she looks like.
awesome.
GW, why you hate me and put skulls under crosses.
I have no snarky comments because you answered your own question.
'Cause it's
GW hates us. GW hates us.
They hate us and love our wallet. All at the same time.
You know.
I'm just doing a little bit of cleanup here. Making that retributor just a little bit thicker. So that way the true tone of it comes through so it's not so pale. Trying to figure out where I'm going to put a happy little tree on this. Because I did not forget Chuck.
Happy little grenades.
He has no grenades, so it must be a tree. You know what? Screw it. Happy little squig.
Happy little squig. If there's a squig on his base, I'm guessing it's not happy.
I don't know what it is. I love squigs, though.
They are. They're. I don't play fan.
I almost called the studio War Squig Studio. Just because I wanted the mascot to be running around with a squig with a brush in its mouth.
I mean, like I said, I don't play fantasy, but if I did, I would play squigs just because they're squigs and grots. I mean, there's a guy out there that has a whole grot army, but he's made them so they're Imperial Guard.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and I mean, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, I have to watch this because I think it was Play on Tabletop was interviewing him, and I'm like, I have to see this. It's just because, him describing, oh well, that's the commissar, that's the. I was sitting here dying at times, just laughing at the squigs. So, I mean, I don't need another army, but that would be a good one.
I mean, but don't you, Chuck?
No, I don't. I still have Iron Hands I'm working on. I still have Astra Militarum in a box.
I feel
No.
hesitancy in your voice.
No, I don't.
You want another army.
Oh, want? Heck yeah. but want
Sorry,
and need.
wrong force power. You need another army.
Yeah, that doesn't work on me. Sorry. That only works on the weak-minded. So, Dustin. I can't even say that. He's not here for me to make fun of him. But anyway.
Stop kicking me.
But no, I mean, there's always a want, but I can only find so many gamers around. And right now, none of the people I game with play fantasy or are interested even in fantasy. So
Depends. I haven't made up my mind yet. Because unfortunately, I've got like 5 minutes, and then I got to figure out what my laundry situation is because I don't think my boss is gonna like me not showing up without clothes.
You'll have clothes. Don't worry about it. You'll have clothes.
But
there we go.
Is where I will be leaving him off tonight. I showed you guys how I did my concept for purples. I will be posting an actual picture so you guys can see it in our Discord for those of our clients that are in Discord. If you're not in our Discord and you want in, you can go and check us out on Patreon. Just, come support our channel. Get into the Discord. You can hang out with Chuck. You can hang out with me, Kendall, Devin. Make fun of us, yell at us, throw us PB&Js. Make sure we're still alive, kicking. More the merrier, guys.
Just generally have a good time.
Yeah, for the most part. So, by the time you guys see him next, he's going to look a lot more like this guy. Obviously, I've already showed you basically how I'm doing the whites. I showed you how I get that purple. The only thing I did not show you is the panel lining, but I mean, it's just panel lining. But I will show you how to do that when it does come time, because obviously I'll be working on these guys for quite a while. That is my project for the week. And I will be taking back my Wednesday stream, so you will see me in a few days. No more of this 2-week hiatus for Jesse. He misses you guys.
We miss you too.
Oh, the love. I feels it.
Let's see. 2 Bastion, Defense Force, 2 Starter, Valkyrie, Baneblade, and 2 Lehman Russes. Yeah.
That's nice size models right there.
Yeah. See, Red, I just went with a Scion, Tempesta Scion drop force. So, a couple Valkyries, troops, maybe a Torox or 2. So, but they're all in boxes until I get my Iron Hands done.
So I gotta figure out what to do for the big giveaway for next month.
Which Jesse will be seeing some of my Iron Hands.
That I will.
Well, no, not the ones you have. You'll be seeing more.
Oh, I'm gonna be seeing. Okay, all right, I'm cool with that.
You'll at least be seeing a group with a box of Hell Blasters, and I can't think of what the other ones are called. They're not the suppressors; they're the other jumpy dudes. Inceptors? Yeah, with plasma.
Yeah, I'm still learning some of the new squad names for the new Primaris Marines myself.
Yes, Red, I agree. The Torox is ugly. I have an STL that I purchased and sent to Jesse, so at some point he will be doing something with that and printing it, because the one he has, I think, looks a lot better than whatever that contraption is.
Ozzy.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm not big with let's put tracks where the wheels are. Huh? But it looks better with wheels. So, but yeah. Actually, Red, yeah, we can talk about it later. It's not a big deal.
Well, I'm gonna wrap it up for tonight, guys. Thanks for Biker Scout for stopping by. You too, Cosmic. Anybody else that I'm missing? I'm just going off by the names that I could still see. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself, and hopefully we'll see you more around.
See ya.
Red, always a joy, man. Thanks for stopping by. I'm sure you'll be on tomorrow for Kendall's stream. Check out that Celestine. See, look, I got it right this time. And we'll go from there. Other than that, have a good night, everybody. see you guys out there in Twitch land later.